Welcome to the Exam Room Podcast, brought to you by the Physicians Committee. Hi, I am the weight loss champion, Chuck Carroll. Thanks so much for joining us here at the International Conference on Nutrition and Medicine 2022 in beautiful Washington, D.C. And I'm actually sitting right next to a doctor who happens to call Washington home. He is a pediatrician and a lifestyle medicine specialist at Howard University Hospital. He also happens to be on the board of directors at ACLM. I met him just a few months ago, as a matter of fact, and was blown away. Just shocked that our paths had not already crossed. I'm so happy that he is making his exam room with us here today. Dr. David Bowman, it is so good to have you here, my friend.
Chuck, I really appreciate the invite and that you kept your word. And we talked about that, and I'm like, you reached out to me again, so I really appreciate that.
Of course, man.
Yeah.
You know,
we had a great conversation.
I love your story, and thank you, by the way, for checking handyman duties and finding time to come on down here. I know you're wearing many hats right now.
I am.
The doctor hat, the handyman hat, the dad hat, the husband hat.
Yes.
You're a busy guy.
I'm busy. I am busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about being a pediatrician.
Sure.
And kind of the state of health of kids. Obviously, a big part of my story was growing up being overweight. I mean, I was well over 100 pounds by the time I was in third grade. And obviously, my health deteriorated very much as I got older, got to life-threatening status eventually. What are you noticing in terms of health trends with kids?
Wow. It's interesting. I've been a pediatrician for 20 plus years. And I remember when I first trained, when we talked about diabetes, it was adult onset diabetes.
Yeah.
And that is not the case anymore. We just have to say that it's type 2. We can't just say adult onset, because I'm seeing kids as young as 8 with pre-diabetes. I have about at least 3 kids in my practice who are 8 with pre-diabetes. And so it is, who are massively overweight. And of course, the pandemic certainly made things a lot worse.
Sure.
But, a lot of people have no idea about nutrition. They're just eating for the moment. It tastes good. My kid is happy. And so, I'll keep feeding this to them.
Right.
And look at them. If it was so bad, they're still growing.
Right.
Right. But, yeah, they're growing out and not just up. And they're not looking at that as much.
Yeah, one of the things that really has caught my attention on the show was like the studies that are showing not just pre-diabetes, but even the early signs of heart disease in younger and younger patients as well. And again, that all goes back to that diet. I remember there was the adage. It's like, you can eat what you want when you're young. You can handle it, right? But I kind of learned that's not the case, because while it's not, like you're not going to keel over the next day, it certainly does not set you up for a good start to adulthood.
Right. And so, there's a phrase, a biblical phrase. It says, train them up in the way they should go. And we don't do that enough. We kind of think, like you said, eat what you want to when you're a kid, and then when you get to be an adult, that's when we do the lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we have atherosclerosis in the heart by the age of 8.
Yep.
And, fatty streaks in the aorta. You have all kinds of problems early on. The other part that is hard is that habits are developed in childhood. And so you have these unhealthy habits that people just never think. I deal with this all the time when I have people who, my kid doesn't want to eat any vegetables. He doesn't eat any vegetables, and it's just like, and literally I saw somebody today who had chicken for breakfast, chicken for lunch, and chicken for dinner. And it's like, okay, what else did you have? Just chicken. Oh, he doesn't eat vegetables. What do you mean he doesn't eat vegetables? Yeah, okay, at this point in time right now, he's 12. I get that he's had a habit and has been allowed to do this. But at 12 months, oh, you said he was eating vegetables. So then what happened, right? And it's easy as a parent, and as being a parent myself, it's easy for us to say, I love when my kid is happy with what I fed them.
Yeah, yeah.
But as a parent, I got to do what's best for my child, not just the instant gratification, but also what's going to be best for their overall development. And I'm trying to get parents to look at that.
So what is the balance there? I mean, because on one extreme you have the you're not leaving the table until you finish your Brussels sprouts. On the other extreme you have chicken 3 times a day. Where is the balance there?
Yeah, that's a tough call. One, I like to start early and saying everyone has to eat vegetables at the start of every meal. So a fruit or a vegetable at the start of every meal. People always say, well, let kids be kids. If they're eating all serious and eating salads and eating all this healthy stuff, they can't be a kid. And I beg to differ. So now, what I do tell my parents is like, you know what? When it's party time, don't have carrots, have cake. Right? When it's time for a party. But on a regular basis, don't have cake.
Right.
Right? At a party, get the pizza, get the cake, but also get some fruit while you're at it. And I think that's the issue is we're only focusing on what's happening in the, we're taking what happens at parties and we're making it a daily occurrence. Or the snacks that they're choosing are not the healthiest snacks. So they're doing Doritos or other chips and snacks.
Yeah.
And as they get older, as the parents go to work or what have you, it's just unchecked.
Right.
So sometimes I'll say, the kids, I can't tell them what to eat anymore. Well, do they buy the food? So one time I actually had I think it was a 12-year-old kid who came in and they said that, he refuses to eat blah, 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 and I can't stand the fact he eats whatever it was he ate. I mean, let's say it was some sort of chips or something. And I can't stand the fact that he eats this. And so I'm like, well, so I walked, the medical student told me about this story. So I walked in the room with the patient and I said, to the 12-year-old, so do you buy your food? And he said, no. And I said, do you steal it? He said, no. So how do you get this contraband that your mom hates that you eat? Where do you get it from? My mom buys it.
Uh-huh.
Well, Mom, if that's not in the house, what do you think he's going to eat?
There it is.
So a lot of that responsibility has to be on the parent. You can't just say, well, I can't make him eat. Right?
All right. Well, fair question, though. It's like one of the things that I've learned, particularly from John Lewis and this phenomenal documentary that he released last year. They're Trying to Kill Us. Really heard of food deserts before, talked a little bit about them, but then to see the extent of the drought of healthy foods that are in a lot of these communities. I mean, what does a person do when literally the closest thing they have to a grocery store for miles is a 7-Eleven or a gas station? Yeah,
that's tough. That is tough. So when I talk to people, because it's funny, the patients don't complain about that as much as the medical students. The medical students, when I tell them about eating healthy, they're like, oh, what about people who can't afford this? But all my patients, and I work with a lot of people who are in Ward 7 and 8 in D.C., which are the most impoverished and least resourced parts of the city. I ask them, is it a challenge to get the food? And most of them say, no, not really. So number one is, back in the day, let's say 5 years ago, there wasn't Uber Eats.
Right.
There wasn't Instacart. There wasn't other things that you can help you get food from other places in the area. So number one. Number two, when people talk about cost, I'll say, well, which costs more between beef and beans? Or between chicken and chickpeas? Well, chicken costs more.
Yeah.
Beef costs more than beans. And so, would they do the raw broccoli and raw kale? Maybe not so much, but they can actually do, they can curry their chickpeas instead of currying chicken.
Yep.
Right. And so it's things like that they can do in terms of, doing canned foods. If that's the best that you can do, is doing canned foods. That's still way better than doing a lot of the animal foods, at least as it relates to inflammation, oxidative stress, etc.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of times people kind of have this, I have to go to the extreme. I have to do everything all at one time to make this transition. But okay, if you make that switch and you go to canned as opposed to fresh right away, that's still a huge improvement from what it was that you were eating, right?
That's a huge start.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And, if you think about whether if it's canned food or if it's fresh food, clearly fresh is going to be best.
Of course.
Right? Frozen is pretty good as well. However, to me, my thought process is however you get it in is best.
Just get it in.
So if the only way you can get it in is by doing it as canned, then canned is better than anything else. And I do want to piggyback on your point, though, that a lot of people think that it has to be an all or none situation.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what steps can you take? You know, certain grocery stores in the area will say if you have, they might have free one piece of fruit. Anytime you come to the grocery store, every kid can get one piece of fruit.
Yep.
And that might be all that's needed, is just having just more fruit and more vegetables. Sometimes it's not necessarily taking things away. It might be just saying, let's start every meal with a fruit or a vegetable. And let's take out some of the foods, because if you're buying foods that are chips and other snacks that are unhealthy, somehow they got to your house.
Yeah.
Where'd you get them from?
The kid's not buying them. The kid's not stealing them. Where are they coming from?
They're coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. So it is, it's not, I'm not going to say that it's easy or whatever, but somehow, some way, if you are determined and committed, you can make it happen. It's just, there's a lot of barriers. And so that's one thing that we noticed when COVID first hit, is that why is it that blacks are dying fastest? Blacks and people with chronic disease are dying fastest with COVID, and it's in part, it's not just because melanin. There's something about the melanin in the skin that affects COVID. It's the fact that there's a lot of institutional problems and structural racism. There's a lot of barriers that are out there for us to get the healthier foods. And so, I mean, even in the area where I live in Prince George's County, there's an area where I remember I would never eat the fresh foods there. I would never go to the certain grocery store. I go there for canned foods, even in the nicer parts. So getting the fresh food is best, but sometimes it's not even possible. Or, like, strawberries are really expensive out of season.
Right.
Blueberries are expensive out of season. So get those frozen.
Right.
And put them in a smoothie.
Absolutely. And I mean, so that's the other thing, I've never met a kid who doesn't like a smoothie that's made with nothing but vegetables and fruits, right?
Especially fruits.
They don't have to know what's in it, right?
That's it.
Right?
That's it.
Like, so the biggest kid in my life right now is actually my mother-in-law, who's in her 80s. She has no idea that the chocolate shake that I make her has kale in it. It's got black beans in it. It's got bananas in it. A little bit of cacao in there. There's your chocolate.
Correct.
But she has no idea, right? She just thinks it's delicious, and it's way better than anything she would get at like a Dairy Queen or a McDonald's or something like that. My little nephews love it just as much.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And my daughter, I was thinking to myself, I don't know how many kids her age, she's 9.
Right.
Get in her daily smoothie or daily regimen, ground flaxseed, turmeric with black pepper, soy milk, and broccoli sprouts. She doesn't know she's getting those things because she knows she's getting blueberries and strawberries, right? That's what she knows she's getting because those taste good. Right. She doesn't know she's getting the other things.
Right on.
So it's important to kind of hide those things a little bit, like if I told her, hey, oh, by the way, your smoothie includes this stuff, I don't want that, but you've been having that same smoothie for months and you didn't say anything.
And suddenly now that you know.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I don't want to eat that now.
Never.
You've been doing it this long.
Do you think, though, that like if you did kind of want to pull the veil back a little bit on that, and you actually let the kid pick the fruit, pick the vegetable, and be involved in that process, so they're choosing what it is that they're eating, that could help take away some of that healthy food stigma that the kid may have in their mind?
So cooking with the kid is fantastic. I've had, when I do have my daughter cook with us, it makes all the difference.
Yeah.
She will definitely try it. She'll try it as we're cooking it. And I'm saying, do you think we need some more oregano? Do you think we need some more basil? What do you think we need? And she's like, I think we need some more basil. Okay, good. And so we go get some more basil and we put that in there, and she enjoys it. So I think getting that kid to have that time period where they are actually in the kitchen cooking does make a big difference. A lot of times they're not even in part of the grocery shopping experience.
Right.
And I purposely don't have her as part of the grocery shopping experience because, if he goes down certain aisles, she's gonna go berserk. So like, I don't want her part of that period. But in our house, it's like, we have some Skinny Pop popcorn, and we have fruit.
Mm-hmm.
You want a snack? This is what it's gonna be.
Okay.
Because we just don't even allow certain foods in the house.
So funny you mentioned popcorn. I had somebody come up to me earlier today who was like, I need you to do an entire show on popcorn. Is it healthy? Is it not? It sounds to me like you're putting that in the healthy bucket, right? My gut says it's kind of like, well, what are you putting on the popcorn? But you tell me.
That's it. So that's why I like the plain Skinny Pop. It's like, it's 3 ingredients, right? It's popcorn, sunflower oil, and salt. And even the salt that's in it has half of the salt that's in Doritos.
Right.
Doritos has 36 ingredients versus 3 in the Skinny Pop. So is Skinny Pop what I consider a health food? Debatable. It's got fiber. It's got protein, right? So from that perspective, yes. Is it as nutritious as kale? Heck no, not even close, right? But my daughter's not going to be eating kale as a snack.
Right.
So if she wants a snack, then I got to figure out what's going to be a healthier snack for her. And popcorn is much better. We don't add the butter. We don't add the cheese. We don't add, all these artificial ingredients that, if you just look at the label of, certain foods that you eat, you're like, what is sodium diosinotate for? What is sodium, and then you see like the certain foods have sodium monosodium glutamate or whatever. You have all these different additives. Like, what's it there for? If I can't pronounce it and I don't know exactly what it's there for as a doctor, then I'm certain, if I don't know what it is, then most parents don't know what it is.
No doubt.
So if you look at the if you look at the, what do you call it, the what's that called? Lunchables and stuff like that. just I'm not saying don't eat them. I'm saying just look at the ingredients and see if those are the kind of things that you want to put in your child. It's almost as if, since they say that processed meats are class or group 1 carcinogens,
right?
It's almost like instead of giving your kid a hot dog, you should give your kid a cigarette. But you would never do that.
Right. Now, here's the thing. Why do you think that we know this now about processed meat? It's been like 5-6 years since the WHO came out with that. And yet, you talk to the average person, and I'm sure maybe you talk to some parents of your patients, and you bring that up. I don't know if it's ever come up in conversation, but they'll look at you kind of cross-eyed, like there's no way that the Lunchable is akin to a pack of cigarettes. But it's in the same daggone category.
Correct.
Right.
So, and I think that it's really what I'm trying to get to my parents to get to understand is I want you to say, I want as many whole plant foods as we can get, and with nothing bad added and nothing good taken away.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the simplest message I can give. But yeah, they have no idea because, I grew up on SpaghettiOs and lunch meats, and look at me, I'm fine. And so they think that it's because they grew up on it, that is fine for their kids as well.
Right.
Because it's like, I want you to experience the things that brought me joy when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But if it's just, things are different.
Yeah.
Like if you just look at just the chicken. I was in Haiti. I did, in my past life, I did global health and HIV. And so I was in Haiti, and I remember, this is back when I was still eating meat, and I saw the size of the chicken leg. And I was like, where's the rest of my meat? Like, did you start to peel?
Forget where's the beef, where's the chicken?
Where's the chicken leg?
Yeah.
Are you peeling off some of this meat and giving it to your kids? Where's my meat?
Right.
Now I thought to myself, wait a minute, maybe that's the size the chicken legs are supposed to be.
Right.
And so why are chicken legs in the United States big? Well, it's not because our chicken are out there doing squats and doing leg presses and doing bicep curls to get big wings and doing push-ups to get big pecs. They're not doing that. So why are they so big? Because it's fat.
Yep.
And so they're like, oh, and it's the unhealthy fat. So it's not like it's a monounsaturated fat. This is unhealthy fat.
Yeah, man.
And so people don't look at it from that perspective. And it takes time into my patient visits, so I'll be looking at my watch and looking at my clinic schedule, and it's like, anybody else here? Because I want to tell you more about this, but if I have time, I'll do it. If I don't have time, I'm going to have to bring you back.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to break a lot of those myths at one time.
I know that you have to run off. You're a busy guy, but I gotta know what opened your eye to the idea of eating a plant-based diet, because you just said you used to eat meat and you were wondering, like, where's the rest of my chicken? So clearly that's not you today.
No, not at all. So about 2015, I did a Daniel fast. Not sure if you or the listeners have heard of a Daniel fast, but it's based on the prophet Daniel in the Bible. He did Daniel chapter 10, verse 2 and 3, where he did 21 days where he went without meat and without choice foods. And so the contemporary way of doing the Daniel fast is no animal products at all, so no animal meats, including seafood and chicken and poultry, no eggs, no cheese, no dairy, no added sweeteners, in particular honey, sugar, etc., and then no processed foods. So if you're going to do rice, you're going to do brown rice. If you're going to do wheat, you got to do whole wheat. You're not doing white wheat. And no caffeine, no preservatives, etc. And so I did it spiritually, 100% spiritually. My church was doing it. Another group called King that I was involved with, they were doing it. And I said, sure, I'll do this. I'll do the fast. What the heck? Prior to the fast, I was the largest I'd ever been. And obesity runs in my family, especially in all the men. Obesity runs in the family. So, it is what it is. I guess this is happening to me too. I had constipation so bad I had to have surgery.
Oh,
surgery.
Great, Googly.
I'm not sure. I know I've heard you talk to about the fibro-fueled doc about stool.
Will, yeah, that's my guy.
But I mean, I was training so hard to have stools that I had a tear in my lining of my rectum. I was leaking anal fluid.
Dude.
Walking around with toilet paper between my cheeks so I wouldn't be, it was embarrassing. It was terrible. So all that had happened. Plus my asthma was bad. My allergies were terrible, et cetera, et cetera. Back pain, foot pain, all this was happening. And I did the Daniel fast, and a week and a half into it, I was like, what the heck just happened to me? I went to the bathroom twice today. Is this diarrhea? This has to be diarrhea. Well, because I usually go on a good week twice a week.
Yeah, man.
Little small pellets, struggling, pain. Dude, I missed a flight one time. I was in the bathroom so long that I missed my connection. So it is a struggle for me. And to go twice with really soft stool, I was like, this is diarrhea. No, this is real. So then eventually what I got out of that was like, spiritually speaking, there's a scripture that says we are fearfully and wonderfully made. I didn't feel fearfully and wonderfully made. And so when I did that fast, I was like, well, maybe I am fearfully and wonderfully made, but my diet promoted disease. My diet promoted constipation. And therefore, if I have a diet that promotes healing and health, maybe I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and I can start having benefits. So now, it was a struggle because I did 5 days in a row of black beans, brown rice, mixed vegetables. I was screaming, like, I hate this, I'm bored, I need something different, right?
Man.
And so I was reminded, is this a spiritual fast or a lifestyle change? And I'm like, it's a spiritual fast. Let me go pray about this. And I prayed about it, and I said, wait a minute. I remember when I was in Haiti and in Nigeria, Uganda, I saw kids who had literally died of malnutrition. It's like, Lord, forgive me for being ungrateful. There's a good billion people on this planet who would be ecstatic to have 5 days in a row of good food, or food, period.
No doubt.
And so, Lord, forgive me for being ungrateful. Let me go ahead and finish this fast. By the fast was over, I lost 11 pounds in 3 weeks. Now, probably most of it was probably stool and it's supposed to fat loss, but I felt fantastic. And I was like, there's something to this.
Dropped 11 pounds. I bet you were.
I felt fantastic.
Yeah.
My foot pain was gone. My back pain was gone. And so, I just started doing meatless Mondays, and I was vegan Monday through Thursday. And then over time, I just felt like I just keep feeling fantastic. And I lost 6 inches on my waist over time. And I'm down to my college weight. And I feel way better than I thought I ever would at 51.
You're 51?
I'm 51.
No, you're not.
I'm 51.
Look at the camera right now. Smile, mean mug for the camera for me. No way. Yeah, 51.
51.
No way. Show me your license when we're
51.
done. No way,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
Zero chance.
51.
My man.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
It's great.
That is amazing.
And I feel better than I did at 41.
I bet.
And because I'm putting in the right foods. And I think that if you put in foods that are anti-inflammatory, your inflammatory conditions will go away. What a concept.
Wow. You get a chance to share your story at all with patients?
I do. I do it a lot.
Yeah.
And in fact, because they see me now, they think that this is where you are. And I'm sure you have this same experience. People say they see you as you are. They're like, oh,
no
come
way.
on, you aren't really big. Come on,
you're pulling
come on,
my
man.
leg. Yeah.
And so I show them a picture, like this is where I was, and not just where I was. There's a predictable and almost certain future of where I was going.
Right.
So yes, I mean I wasn't obese yet, but every man in my family was obese,
Yeah.
and so I was heading that direction.
Yeah.
And so, but I caught myself a little early, where I was just overweight. But I mean, and oh, by the way, it wasn't just the weight, it wasn't just the stool, but my allergies have gone away.
Yes, sir.
My eczema has really minimized to minimal levels. My asthma, same thing.
Yeah, man.
And so I talked to our families. Today I was talking to somebody who had allergies. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, right now she definitely needs some medication, but because she's, at this moment, she's having these issues. But it's because she's eating an inflammatory diet. And if we cut back down on the inflammatory diet and start eating more anti-inflammatory foods, the allergies get better, the eczema will get better. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get to.
Man. All right, so I want to get to getting you back on the show because I know that you have to run. Our time here today is limited. You got a lot of things to do,
Yes.
all those many hats that you wear.
Yes.
But I feel like there's so much more that we could discuss. I want to talk more about the kids and like what we can do there because for me, I want to reach back and talk to the little Chuck, coming up,
Wow.
who just didn't have a
Wow.
clue and was being taken to the drive-through, single parent, not a lot of time, even less money, just not a whole lot of options. And like let's help him and let's help today's generation, see a healthier way to do things, a way that they'll enjoy. Because I honestly do believe that kids will say yuck to vegetables, but there's a way, whether it be smoothies or just getting them involved in choosing some of the foods that they're eating, we can certainly make great strides, go a lot further than where we are now.
And you can sneak them in at times.
Yeah.
When I started that with my daughter, what I would do is I would cut up spinach really finely, and I throw it in the spaghetti sauce.
There it is.
And so she had no idea she was getting vegetables. Now my daughter is good with eating vegetables in general,
Yeah.
but I still put it in where she doesn't think it is. And so I think that's important. There's a lot to say, Chuck, about
Yeah, man.
the struggles
Yeah.
that kids and parents face. I mean, whether it be ADHD or there's a lot that's going on. I mean, really with ADHD, a lot of that is inflammatory and oxidative stress in the brain.
Yeah.
And that gets better as well when they change their diet. So there's so much to peel back. The more, and while I'm at Howard, I go and talk to different departments. So I talk to, I did lifestyle medicine for mental health for the psychiatry residents and psychiatry faculty or whatever. There's so many layers to this.
Yes, sir.
That it's not just a weight issue. And I tell my parents, because what I don't want is for the kid to feel stigmatized. I don't want them to feel like, they're well, not they feel like they're fat, but like they just had this negative association. I'm talking about your health.
Yes, sir.
I'm talking about and so I'm actually more excited, believe it or not, to deal with kids who have other health issues than just obesity. If the kid is just obese and that's all it is, I'm more excited to reverse somebody's allergies or reverse their constipation. That actually it's really exciting because I can really say it's about your health. Don't you feel better? Yeah, I feel better, right?
So, especially with that constipation, how much better they're going to feel.
Quickly.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right, man. So we will talk further, man. We'll just call this hit and pause for now.
All right, sounds good.
We'll do part 2 in a little while.
Awesome.
All right, Dr. David
Great.
Bowman.
Good
Thank you, my
talking to you.
friend.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
If your health IQ is a couple of points higher than it was a few minutes ago, go ahead and like this video or subscribe to the YouTube channel. And to take it even higher, head over to Apple Podcast or wherever you get your favorite shows. Look for The Exam Room by the Physicians Committee. Hit the subscribe button there as well and help to make your world a healthier place.